So those are the comments right there, just in case anybody's watching, which we are. Brian, my partner in crime for the Pulling Focus podcast. We're going to get started in just a second. What's up, pal?
Brian said thanks.
All right. Also, yeah, we got 3 listeners. Anybody else is listening out there, make sure you go in the Winchester Book Gallery for all your books. They have some really cool puzzles there. And make sure you're checking out SkylineIndieFilmFest.org. And if you got a short film or a long film, then you want to submit it, do that now. Highly support indie filmmaking here at the Scene Snobs, and highly support the Skyline Indie Film Festival. So there we go. We got a recording going. Welcome, everybody, to the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast. We're doing a live show. We've been doing live shows. Hopefully, it's keeping everybody entertained. Don't worry, it's going to be a short one because it's a 20-minute show. I have with me my producer and guest, Thomas the Butcher, Ring Kid, Wrestling Kid, whatever he wants to call himself. Go ahead, buddy.
Hi, make sure you comment down at the side and smash that like and subscribe button when we go on YouTube tomorrow.
All right, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. See, it's pretty good. I got to hire him. Yeah, so we're just here and we're talking about some things. If you see, we're talking about empty arenas and old faces. Now, we're having a lot of them show up in the wrestling world these days. And I kind of just wanted to talk about that. Kind of give my opinion, if you will. That's what this is. We talk about wrestling, sports entertainment, and, we do it in a short form opinion piece. So what's up, buddy?
Rob just joined. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Rob. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, but we want to do a live show. We kind of, get opinions. Hopefully it's entertaining with everything going on. So give us your feedback about anything. But basically, a few things I've been wanting to talk about, and Tom will talk to you about it too, is one, we have a very weird, hey, Rob, we have a very weird thing going on right now with the coronavirus. We have no fans in the stands. So if you've been watching any wrestling lately, there have been nobody allowed in. They're doing WWE at the Performance Center. They're doing AEW at different venues, but with nobody there. Hey, Sam, thanks for coming back. So it's kind of throwing everybody off a little bit. Now, it started with SmackDown, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. That was the first time we really got to see wrestling kind of change it up and become affected by the coronavirus and its effects on businesses and things like that. So WWE changed their venue and went back to the Performance Center as stated, and it was a very stale episode. Now I can't hold it against them. There was a brand new thing. They've never done it without fans before. What did you think, Tom? You saw it, and how did it feel when you first saw no fans?
It was surprising, and it was unusually quiet.
Yeah, it was unusually quiet, and they played it up, but at the same time, it seemed like there was very low energy in that episode, and it kind of bled over into the other WWE shows, but there was a lot of difference in other things going on, because then on Monday, there was a live showing. If you follow Wrestle Talk, which is a pretty big wrestling promotion and news outlet over in, I don't know wrestling, so I'll tune in next time. Have fun. Love you guys. Bye, Sam. This is the wrestling show, though. That's what we got to talk about. And a lot of people are missing sports, and wrestling is the only thing we have right now. So that's what we're going to keep going with. Bear with us. But if you guys have any opinions, please let us know. So on Monday, Wrestle Talk did a showcase. And the main card was, of course, Will Ospreay, who's arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, wrestles out of Japan, New Japan Wrestling. He came on, and he's from the UK, so he was happy to help, and it helped a lot of a small-time indie wrestlers. And, when I say small, I feel like that's a negative connotation. What's up, pal?
Sam Stanley just reacted to the Scene Snobs thing, and we already have one
Oh, well, thank you. I don't need to know that much, but I do appreciate you reaching out. We'll just talk about the comments, because if anybody has anything they want to talk about, I want to bring it up. So we get to the wrestling showcase, and they had no fans in there either. But the energy was a lot more in these young indie stars coming out over in the UK, and that whole show was gimmicky but fun, and they did it right. They held the promos in the back. They didn't bring them out to the ring, where it just seemed very lonely. It was very old school. Back in the locker room, Mean Gene hanging out with the guys, letting them rip on their promos. So they did it right, I think. And then that led into, okay, we watched that and we thought maybe WWE would have their stuff together by the time Raw got around. Raw again was in the performance center that they have. They come out, and then all of a sudden, you cut to the entirety of the match of Royal Rumble, the men's Royal Rumble match, and that lasted almost 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, and it just was. I'm sorry, you give us nothing. You have a 3-hour show. You have WrestleMania coming up. I understand things were up in the air, but they didn't really do anything. They didn't utilize anything. My partner on the Behind the Box podcast, Rob Gosher, who has been a guest on the show, came out and he gave an idea. We were talking about it, about why not have the other wrestlers who aren't wrestling come out and be a part of the show on the sidelines, just cheering. And when he first said it, I was like, that would be cool, because it would give something. It would give a layer of almost somebody cheering on. But I didn't realize how awesome that would be, because fast forward a couple of days, you have AEW coming out, and they have no fans. They're at their venue, no fans available. But what did they do? Everybody who wasn't on the card that night came out, and they acted as spectators. And it was amazing. You had the heels being heels, betting on the matches, talking crap, being interviewed on the sides. You had the baby faces, patting on the back, cheering wildly, the whole nine. Like, it was fantastic. And you had everybody come out, and it felt very real, very personal, and they did a great job. Then we get in the news that WrestleMania is going to be a 2-night event. Now, would I be against WrestleMania being a 2-night event? No, if it was a normal WrestleMania avenue. I feel like, I don't know why they're doing it. I mean, you can fit all of their card for WrestleMania now into one night if there were fans and it was at an arena. But there's no fans. They're going to have to do it at the Performance Center, and you're going to break it down into 2 nights. It makes no sense. They're not building to anything. There's no real matches or rivalries built here. WrestleMania is just, except for maybe Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch. But, I mean, what are we going to do with that? I mean, what do you think, Tom? Because you were with me in the beginning of January when Wrestle Kingdom, which is arguably as big as WrestleMania, if not a little bit, if not bigger. I mean, honestly, even with the 2 nights this year, it was huge. And that's based out of Japan, but it has a bunch of different indie stars from Ring of Honor, had some AEW stars on there, New Japan mostly. But with that being said, what is, do you like the 2-night format that WrestleMania is talking about, especially since there will be no fans there?
I don't know. I don't really think so, unless they have these surprise matches, like AJ Styles versus The Undertaker.
Well, it's not so much. That's not so much a surprise. That is a match that's on the card.
Oh, then something like
a theme match, you mean?
No, like Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe.
Well, Samoa Joe's injured right now, so I don't think he's coming back. Right now, I think they're going to be doing Seth Rollins, and it seems like it's going to be Kevin Owens, because that's been the rivalry building up. But it's been like such a non-rivalry. It hasn't been that good. Anybody wants to chime in, join in. I want to know your thoughts on this too, about what's going on in the wrestling world if you watch it. Again, this is a 20-minute wrestling podcast, just a short show I do each week, kind of an opinion piece on the things going on around. But I'm doing it live now to hopefully kind of keep you guys entertained through it. What do you got for me, bud?
Rob said no, not at all. They don't have enough content unless they have their entire roster wrestling.
Right, and I agree with him 100%. So why do 2 nights? Like I said, when Wrestle Kingdom did, that's a great point, Rob. When Wrestle Kingdom did their 2 nights, they had planned it out for months and months, and it was booked into 2 nights because they were bringing in multiple promotions to come and be a part of it. The only from AEW we got was Jericho and John Moxley, but that was a big one. What do you got, bud?
I feel like they might do NXT tag team match with the Bruiserweights and what's their name? Undisputed Era. They might do that in some other NXT matches.
Yeah, I agree. If they're not going to do an NXT takeover, they need to implement them into WrestleMania if they're going to do a 2-night event. But you need to build those matches up, and Vince just doesn't seem too keen on doing it. Rob, they should do what AEW does and have the wrestlers in the stands cheering them on. Yes, I actually told everybody your idea, because that was your idea. We had talked about that, and you brought that up, and AEW pulled it off flawlessly. WWE, for some reason, won't do it, but AEW did it flawlessly. It seems like WWE is running away. That's a good point, Tommy. Have NXT talent at WrestleMania is a good idea. I agree, too. Especially because now, if they had been playing it up, rather than like Charlotte invading NXT for the NXT title, it could have been Rhea Ripley invading the main roster to say, go ahead and take my title. But they have not been doing any of it. Like, they have not been setting up matches well at all. Because right now they're trying to play off, what's his name? John Cena and Bray Wyatt rivalry as like this big thing that's 6 years in the making, because John Cena buried him, and this is why this match is coming now. But when it's not really the case, Bray Wyatt got buried because John Cena doesn't like to lose. Now, as much as I like John Cena, when it comes to wrestling, he does not like to look bad. He likes to look like the star, the hero. And he had the clout, so I can't take it away from him. It's very much a Hulk Hogan thing to do. But, like, he just liked to bury his stars. And now it just doesn't work right now, like, because they're trying to twist the narrative that just doesn't work for it. Roman Reigns and Goldberg. That's going to be a cheesy match. There's no real rivalry there, but they had a chance. They had a chance to write it properly. Because if Goldberg, when he was brought in to the Hall of Fame, he kind of gave a little bit of let me see. What do you got?
I've never seen John Cena win. I've never seen him.
That's fair. Oh, that's a good point. Nobody's ever seen John Cena win, but for some reason, these guys lay down and take the count. Like, he's never even been in the ring. So, there you go. But I do love that. That was awesome. No, but like when Roman Reigns and Goldberg called Roman Reigns out for stealing the spear, which arguably Roman Reigns kind of does better in my opinion. I think he has a nicer spear. But you could play that up. But all they did was Goldberg comes out and says, "Who's next?" And Roman Reigns comes out and says, "I am," because that's how number one contendership works, I guess, in the WWE. Because there's no records being taken. That's why I like AEW so much, is because there's actual records there. You can't be the number one contender unless you have fought to be the number one contender. Got to run dinner time. Brian, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I completely understand. Thanks, buddy. So, Rob, keep chiming in because you are a smart dude with wrestling, and I like your take. What do you think about the Roman Reigns Goldberg match, Tommy?
I think it should have been not Roman Reigns. I think it should have been Bray Wyatt Goldberg.
Yeah, it's kind of a rematch because they did take it off Bray Wyatt. Now, the belt was not working on Bray Wyatt, though, so I will say that. So I understand from a certain point, and they know they want to push Roman Reigns. I get it. They've always wanted to push Roman Reigns, but seriously, at some point, what do you got for me? You got somebody's opinion?
No, I meant, so, they would have, so instead of having it at, like, WrestleMania, I think they should have, the Roman Reigns Goldberg match at, like, I don't know, Super Showdown, then like before the match starts, maybe Roman Reigns could go out and beat up Goldberg.
Well, we can't speculate because Super Showdown is where this all started. It brought Goldberg back, so you can't go back in time and change it. But I get your point. So going back to it, like there's no real rivalry there, and it's just kind of a disturbing match. But then you cut over to, and that's how. Real quick, my point there is because with the old faces portion of this title, you're bringing back a lot of old faces. WWE is bringing back The Undertaker yet again. The man's in his 60s. They're bringing back Goldberg again. The man's in his 50s. They're bringing back guys who've slowed down and are tired, and they should not be wrestling huge matches. They should not be champions. Now, you're going to get a pretty good match with The Undertaker and AJ Styles. He is slow. I get it, but AJ can make him look good. He can sell it. It will be a fun match. It will be a short match, and it will work. So it's just at this point where, you got to get, creative if you're going to bring your older guys back and utilize them properly. So I think that's just kind of where I'm at. The WWE isn't utilizing them properly, and it's kind of boring, honestly. But then you go over to something like AEW. All right, now AEW is got Jake the Snake coming back, and he is Lance Archer's manager. He's his promo guy, kills it. They did this whole like short vignette about Lance Archer taking out all these indie promo guys in the ring and kind of toughing them up and selling them, and it's working out well. And then you get to Arn Anderson as the coach for Cody, and then you get to who else? You get to all these older veteran guys. But then what do we get? We get the Exalted One, which they've been selling for the longest time in AEW for the Dark Order. And it's Brody Lee, who is, if you know him only from WWE, he was Luke Harper. It was great. I was thinking it was going to be Matt Hardy. Everybody was thinking it was going to be Matt Hardy. But they bring Brody Lee in, who's a popular guy in the indie promotions. And now he's in AEW, and he's got a prominent role in it. So we get to the point where you got Brody Lee back. They surprised you still. They didn't give you what you were expecting to get. And then but you still get Luke Harper. That's right. Oh, what else do you say? Goldberg winning was a travesty. Bray Wyatt should have had the title removed by either an Authority or Undertaker. Anyone else is taking it as was awful and ruined the Fiend. I do agree. But I think you can get the Fiend back, but you're not going to do it by bringing John Cena in. So he's just going to probably be dead. You go over to AEW. Matt Hardy still shows up in the same show, and he is broken Matt Hardy. They bring the drone out. They bring it into the middle of the ring. He is a part of the Nightmare family, the elites, if you will. He's brought in by Matt Jackson, and talked about like the Bucks have called in the favor because they're going to do the Blood and Guts show. Now I know they're postponing the Blood and Guts show, but he's going to do Blood and Guts with them. This is amazing. So he's going up against the Inner Circle. So next week we're going to get Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy in the ring, nose to nose together, and it's going to be perfect. This is how you utilize your vets. I mean, look at Matt Hardy and how big he was with the broken angle in all of the indie promotions. And now, well, in Ring of Honor, really, and now he was, for years, he was completely devastated by WWE underutilizing him and not doing anything right up until 2 or 3 weeks ago. And now what do we get? We get him back, we get the broken Matt Hardy, and he hasn't missed a beat, and he's going to pull it off, and it's going to be beautiful. So how is it that we're going through this crisis? I understand, but we have WWE talking about WrestleMania being a 2-night event, which means you're probably going to get their entire roster on the show. Can he just delete that shtick? He's a great wrestler, but I think he looks silly. He does look silly, but I guarantee you, Rob, give AEW a chance to work with it. Because it worked with Ring of Honor. They tried it with Woken Matt Hardy, which was just completely ridiculous and killed it. And they killed it too quick anyway. They didn't let him have any creative freedom. But I promise you, if you let AEW work with it, I guarantee it will work. So just stick with it, I promise. And if it doesn't, they will stop it. But they'll stop it at the right time, and they'll make it look right. So I have complete and utter faith in it. I love what AEW is doing with all its veterans. I hate what WWE is doing with all its veterans. I'm sad to see so many wrestling promotions kind of out of it right now because being taken out because they can't afford to be out there right now and having to cancel shows. So hopefully this thing, once it's kind of, I don't want to say cleared up, but kind of passes by, will give us a chance to get back into it and get these indie promotions built up a little bit bigger. So with that being said, I think I'm going to end the show there. This is the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast after all. I appreciate all your input, Rob. We got to get back on the show real soon. And I appreciate my producer / co-host for this week, Mr. Thomas the Butcher. That's his wrestling name. I'm making it his wrestling name. We have to go to Nova Pro Wrestling show together. I'm all for it. We can do it. And let's see if we can get some interviews for the show. With that great show, I'm down. So let's talk about that. Let's try and make that happen. But I appreciate everybody tuning in for the live show. Thomas, you got anything you want to add?
One more thing. So, one thing I am really excited about next week at Dynamite is that street fight. Is that parking lot fight.
Oh, is that coming up?
It's next week.
Oh, okay, very cool. I'm always good for a good parking lot fight. And we're actually going to have Jimmy Havoc versus Cody. Is very cool. And I want to put this out there before we end the show. If you go onto his social media, Cody Rhodes put his phone number out for everybody. You can text him. He will text you back. I texted him, and he's been texting me every day since, and they've been giving little inside information to people. So Jimmy Havoc, and Cody Rhodes are going to fight in the next Dynamite show. So very exciting. I like Jimmy Havoc. I like to see where that will go, and I think Cody Rhodes will sell it perfectly and put him over. That's just my sense of it. But with that being said, that's the end of the 20-minute wrestling broadcast, podcast, whatever type of cast. This is a live viewing of it. I'm just trying to do these to kind of keep people entertained while we're here. Hopefully you guys have fun. If you know anybody who likes wrestling, we'll be back here again next Sunday. So join in. And if there's anything you want to hear, message me at The Scene Snob on either Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can go to the website, thescenesnobs.com, where all of our shows are. We have tons of shows, and it's a lot of fun. You can go onto the YouTube channel, the Scene Snobs YouTube channel. We have tons of stuff going on there. And just hopefully you enjoyed, or you'll enjoy something else. So thanks for coming on, and we will talk to you guys later. Take care.